Hello, everyone. Good morning. As usual, I'll be giving just 1 minute to allow you guys to come in before we start the business of the day.
Hi, everyone.
Like I said, I will just be giving a minute to allow you guys to come in before we start the business of the day. And I can see from my attendees a couple of familiar names there. I guess I will just take it up from here, even as people keep joining us. Good afternoon. Once again, for those of you guys that are joining us for the first time, my name is Garba S. Yahya, and I'm one of the training coordinators with the Temple Small Business Development Center. The Temple Small Business Development Center helps small businesses start and grow. We offer free one-on-one consulting and a variety of low to no-cost webinars. We are proud to be part of the nationally accredited network of the Small Business and Development Centers, which has over 1,000 networks across the United States. We're here this afternoon for a webinar on what to put on your website. A copy of the PowerPoint and a link to the recording will be sent to all the attendees. Being a webinar, all the attendees have been muted. However, we always encourage you guys to drop your questions on the Q&A or the chat box. Without further ado, please allow me to welcome my wonderful speaker, even as she takes over the floor for the presentation. Jenn, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Hi, guys. I'm Jean Clark. Today, we're going to talk about some content writing tips and tricks and probably a few other things because I just can't leave well enough alone. I'm an overachiever, guys. What can I say? But I think I have some good ideas for you. So I'm Jean Clark. I'm the creative director of BrandSwan. I've been a business owner for over 14 years. I've been designing websites since the 90s, and I'm really good at brand strategy, web design, and SEO. And if you're a Ravenclaw, let me know. I'm a big Harry Potter fan, even now. So for my day job, at BrandSwan, we help startups, small businesses, and nonprofits break away from the flock through bold brand savvy websites and marketing that matters. We're female owned, and we have clients near and far. So today we're going to learn about 4 things. We're going to set the purpose of your website. And I know that sounds kind of like a duh thing, but you'd be surprised. So hang tight on that. We're going to teach you how to research to get into the mind of your visitors, how to guide your audience, and how to map out the pages and content so that it flows, and conversion tips and tricks, how to get that person to do that one thing you want them to do. So let's dive in right into the purpose. What is that one thing? And obviously, we know we need to have a website, and that's because it's a confirmation that you exist. But really, what you want them to do is go to your website and do what? Sometimes it might be to buy a product. It might be to schedule an appointment. It might be, to download something and you get their lead information. Maybe it's to sign up for a email newsletter. Really, when you're doing a campaign, think of that one thing you want them to do more than anything. And that really drives everything that you do from this moment forward. So what your website should accomplish. First of all, your audience is going to have questions. They're going to have problems, and they might have a goal. So for example, let's say that you're a mover and a client is looking to find out the price of what it costs to move. What do they need? What are they looking for? And furthermore, obviously, well, unless you're in a very special niche, you're not the only one in your industry. So how can you do it better? What makes you different from them? It could be your price point. It could be the amount of services that you offer. It could be the quality of the services. So think about that as you're developing your content. And most importantly, provide a clear call to action. How do they get started? That's a big one. So here's some examples of a clear purpose. On the left, you have black tie moving. What do they want you to do? They want you to book your move today. So that sounds rather direct, right? You're like, wow, well, what if I'm just looking? That's a little rush for me. I'm not quite ready to commit to that yet, right? So as you scroll down on a website, there is going to be more opportunities to ask someone for your business or ask them for your business. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So this might be the first thing they see, but down more, it might say, hey, you want more information? We'll click our FAQ page. And then they click on that. And then it says, oh, do you have any more questions? Maybe reach out to us and we can answer them. So you're just trying to get that one step closer to contacting you. And it can be tricky. You want to give them enough information that they can make an educated decision. And even maybe you want to provide the information because you're tired of people calling you and asking you for something you have to say over and over again. It could be something as simple as your hours or your process, so directing people to your website to kind of answer these questions can free up your time. And really put your website to work. I'm a firm believer that your website isn't just a confirmation that you exist on the web. It's your personal assistant. It should be bringing you leads and answering your clients' questions. On the right-hand side, we have the not. And what do they want you to do? They just want you to sign up. They want to kind of capture you, and then they can market to you in all sorts of ways. So these are just two examples of really clear purposes. Two more examples. We have Etsy on the left, and this one's a little bit harder to understand the purpose of. So you see that there's a giant search bar, and you have that they just have everything. They have personalized gifts, they have summer clothing, they have unique jewelry. And so really this is a directory that encourages you to shop for products that you want to buy. So Etsy's purpose is to bring clients to the people who use their service. On the right-hand side is more of a traditional call to action, and they want you to buy shoes. And that's why the first thing you see are shoes and shop now. So again, these are just some examples of really clear purposes. Couple more, a little bit more unconventional. On the left, you have register now, a big button there. You have download information, register now. Yeah, and so you can put it in a couple different places. So when people skim down, it's available here as well. And it's okay to have more than one call to action, but know that anything above the fold, meaning what someone sees when they first go to your website, is going to be the most important and be the most clicked on call to action. On the right, this is what I call just a very targeted purpose. So if you were to go to his website, you would see no navigation. You would see nothing else except for this one question asking for your website URL. Do you want more traffic? Obviously, the answer is yes. I don't think anyone's ever said, you know what, I think I'll pass on traffic today. So it's really compelling because like, yeah, I want more traffic. So you give them that information, then they continue you on through the pipeline as they have it. So you can really get down to the nitty gritty and force someone to either leave or complete the action. And from there, you can start analyzing, why didn't someone fill out that form? Why did they leave? When you have more on a page, it begins to get harder to discern why someone didn't click or convert or call you, right? All right, so now that you know you need a purpose, like what's that one thing? We have to know what our visitors want, and we have to provide that to them so that we can get them to buy. I'm going to put buy in air quotes because you might just want them to call you and not actually pay for anything, but really this is the buy-in, right? So let's talk about researching your users, because this is an important one. Got to start with your audience. Who are they? Are they men? Are they women? Are they a 50-50 split? What kind of people are they? Are they people who just want you to take care of it? Are they a combination of several different personality types? What are their pain points? Now, in this presentation that you're going to get a copy of, you're going to get this worksheet. Can you guys still see on my screen? Let's see. Let me know if you guys can still see my screen. Cool, okay. So for the target audience worksheet, you can just fill this out and it will email it to you. I have a faster option though, bear with me here. Go snag that. All right, here we go. So this is a process that we use here at BrandSwan to really understand our clients' clients. So the first thing you kind of have to start with is the sitemap, right? What kind of content do you want to be on here? I'm going to scroll down a bit because the content is actually, I would say writing it's the hardest part. But I wanted to highlight this one section called the value proposition. And this is your secret sauce. This is what makes you special. And this should really tie in with your purpose. And they should know this right away. Who here is in a really competitive industry? Tell me what your industry is in, if you don't mind, in the chat. Let me know what your industry is. Who's in a really competitive industry? Oh, wow, guys. Film and television, writing. Yes, writing is a big one. Figure skating. I feel like, Becky, that might be a niche. You might not have too many. I want to say maybe in this area, no more than 2 hands full. Is that true? Natural hair products. You got a lot of competition there, Roxanne. Education, pet food. Yeah, lots of pet food. Digital marketing. I feel you there. Yes, digital marketing for sure. Wow, we have quite the very cool. Irish dance school. Yeah, there's lots of coaches too. And, you know, in each industry, you know, has their own problems they have to get through, right? Like the stigma attached to coaching, for example. So you have to break through that to get to your audience. And then you have to separate yourselves from the rest. So it can definitely be hard to do that. So when you're analyzing your audience, demographics are quite important. You know, who are they? What are their ages? What do they look like? What are their hobbies? You know, do they have families? You know, what are they like? What are they wasting their time on instead of working on their business? What are their values and motivators? Do they value integrity? Or do they just want the cheapest option? And it's good to know those things, right? Because if you're targeting people who want the cheapest option, but you're not the cheapest, then what you need to do is increase your value so that you can justify your price. And last but not least, obstacles. So if you fill this out, you will get this worksheet, and you can use it to kind of start this, because knowing your audience is half the battle. Now, if you don't know this, that's okay. What you can do is start tracking it right away by installing Google Analytics on your website and letting it exist for a while. You know, I would say you're not going to get results right away. I would analyze it for a good 6 months before you start to know who your market is. And the cool thing is that you can see their age, what part of the world they're from, what device they're using. So you can even find out during this time whether your visitors are mostly a desktop or a mobile visit. So for example, let's say you are selling hair care products. You might find that people prefer to shop for those on their home computers than on the go on the phone. Whereas if you're a restaurant, people are hungry, they're in their car, they're looking for places nearby to eat. So you're going to have different experiences for different industries, and being able to know that, I think, just allows you to cater to them even more. Yeah. Do you have any questions on that, guys? Knowing your audience. Now, while you're typing in your questions, I want to mention one more thing, which is segmenting. Now, should you have enough data to segment, that's the beauty of it. So for example, we have clients, I'm going to say web design clients. Because we're women-owned, what we might want to do is segment to just women-owned businesses. So that would be an example of a segment where we're narrowing down our audience even more to provide a service that they're interested in. Another example, we do a Most Inspiring Women series every year. We typically market that to our Women in Businesses segment, and winners of that. So, and what do you get from that? You get people who actually want the information. You don't think about it. Who here has ever uploaded, and be honest, I won't tell on you, but who here has just taken their giant contact list and inserted it into MailChimp and just hoped that people wanted to be on your list? Who here has ever done that? Hey, I've done that before. Well, when I was a baby designer and I didn't quite know about ICANN rules, but you know, you're going to find that you're going to get a lot of unsubscribes because they don't have a connection to what you're sending them. They never signed up for it. So it's okay to have a smaller list of people who actually want the information than a bigger list full of people who don't even read it. So that's the power of segmenting. Yes, you're marketing to a smaller, different type of people, but the click rate, the conversion rate is going to be much higher. Any other questions? Let me go ahead and look at all right, let me look at the chat here. Sue Scott says, we sell wholesale and retail. We have chosen to remove our shop because our emphasis is on face-to-face retail and wholesale. What should our call to action be on our site? We have a product page that displays our products for future customers, wholesale and retail. Sue, I've actually seen this in a couple different ways. I've worked with companies who really did not want to stab their wholesalers in the back, should I say. So they didn't offer retail on their website. However, what you can do is offer a location service, perhaps. So for example, they type in their zip code and you show them a list of retailers that sell your products. So then they can then visit that retailer and purchase their product there, and it has a feel good. Your retailer will certainly appreciate it. So there could be something like that. Yeah, see, you already got that. And it's okay to have two different audiences on the same page. So for example, BrandSwan has 3 different types of audiences. We have startups, we have nonprofits, and we have small businesses. So our website serves all of them, and we kind of route them based on what they're looking for. And it's okay to ask. I mean, who here remembers splash pages? But a screen could come up and it could say, I'm looking for wholesale, looking for retail, and then just customize that experience. Plus, people love it when you ask them questions about themselves. They love to be able to customize their experience. So don't be afraid of just asking as well and directing them at that point where to go. Any other questions? Cool. All right, moving on here. So let's say you don't have an audience. Where do you find them? You want to analyze your current customer base. Who are they? Who's already buying? And if you really don't have any data, consider customer surveys. You can send them information about who they are, and it can be completely anonymous. You can try things like SurveyMonkey, for example. But we do need to know how old they are, what their location is, what's their gender, what are their interests, what do they all have in common, and find that in order to broaden your marketing and find a new customer base. Analyze your competitors. This is a huge one. What we do for our clients, we have like a competitor analysis where we basically show you what you look like next to your competitors. And sometimes it's really enlightening what you find out. You might discover that your brand isn't very strong, so people aren't remembering you. It could be that someone else is doing exactly what you're doing, but they just appear a bit more experienced and a bit better. So you have to kind of figure out a new angle. There's all sorts of things that you can find out by just analyzing your competitors and where you fit in the market. You can also use process of elimination. Who isn't your target audience? We did a blog article not too long ago about who we do and don't work with. People appreciate that, especially your referral base. So people who are sending you referrals love to know what is your favorite client, and being able to communicate that is important. And of course, last but not least, use Google Analytics. So install that stuff now, guys. It's very easy to install. And then when you're ready to analyze the data, you'll have that there for you. But in the meantime, analyze your competitors or send out customer surveys. All right, any more questions? I'm going to keep going. If you have any questions, just drop them in the Q&A or the chat and I will get to them. Cool. All right, so now that we know the purpose of our website and who we actually want to visit our website, we can start mapping out the pages and the content. So break out each page by its purpose. And I'm going to give you guys a little tip. I know this is an SEO class, but I will say that any key phrase that you want to be found for, take notes, guys. This is my #1 piece of advice when writing content. Because content plays a huge role in where you rank in SEO. For each phrase you want to be found for on the search engines, for example, Delaware web designer, you need a whole page dedicated to it. It's an algorithm. It's basically a point system. You know, if you want to rank for this key phrase, you have to have it here, here, here. It has to be this long. I always recommend at least 300 words per page. And if it's a blog article, like 2,500, which is a lot of words, I get it. It really depends on the subject matter as well and the competition. But for example, if you want to write an article that is, let me see, best tips for landlords, you have hundreds, thousands probably of articles to compete with. And I will say that with SEO, there are things that you do have control over and there's things that you don't. Some things that you don't, for example, would be how long your domain's been registered for. That lets the search engines know your authority, like how long you've been in the industry and whether or not that would, you know, and so they trust you a bit more with the rankings there. But going back to the content writing process, just think about that. What is this page for? If you can't write 300 words about a page, don't include it. If you can't write 300 words about a key phrase, that might not be the key phrase you want to go for. And also think about your service offerings. So, example, let's say, let me pick someone. Okay, let's say, all right, you're selling hair products. And let's say your bread and butter is hairspray, right? And you do offer some shampoo, but really you're known for your hairspray. You want the client to come to your hairspray and then kind of buy the other products. You don't want them coming just for the other products because this isn't your moneymaker. So even though you offer it, you might not make a big deal about it coming up on the search engines, for example. So just because you do it doesn't mean it's your bread and butter, and the focus is lost. And it becomes harder for you to stand out, and it becomes harder for you to meet your goals when you're broadening your reach. So this is when narrowing down on one specific thing can really help you stand out. It does feel like you're pigeonholing yourself in some ways, but again, that secret sauce, that one thing, you know, it always comes down to. So break down each page by its purpose, and if it has a key phrase that goes along with it, that would be even better. So for example, let's say you offer 3 services: web design, branding, and marketing. They should have their own pages if you would be found for branding, marketing, and web design. So they should be separate if you want to rank for those. So furthermore, once you figured out the SEO strategy and what you're going to be found for, what questions, you know, do your users have when they're coming to your site? Again, if let's say you're selling natural products, they want to know the ingredients first and foremost, right? So you got to put that prominently. They'll of course want to know the price. They're going to know where to buy it. They're going to know they want to know what shipping is. And the cool thing about this is that a lot of these industries are tried and true. And by that, I mean, who here sets the e-commerce precedent? When you think of the best e-commerce store in the world, what comes to mind, guys? What comes to mind? The best e-commerce store in the world. Bing, 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 bing. I think, you know who's number 2? Walmart.com, I believe, if that's still accurate, Walmart.com. So everyone is comparing their shopping experience to Amazon. And people think that's easy. someone comes to me and they're like, all right, Jane, I wanna, what's it, like Amazon, and I only have $500. It's a tall ask. You're like, well, no, because sometimes the simplest things are the most complicated to build. I'm getting off on a tangent here, but you'd be surprised. So people have expectations of their experience on their website. So for example, if you're a moving company and you don't have a quote form, people are going to leave because that's the one thing they really want to know is how much is it going to cost to move, right? So we have a couple comments here. Walmart.com tells you that you have it, you set up an account, and then it says it's out of stock. It's so worse. Yeah, and still it's number 2. Amazing. And honestly, I think it's number 2 for the sheer amount of products that it offers. It offers a lot of stuff, right? I mean, you don't have to leave your house. Amazing. Anonymous attendee. What is the best way to segment a website? For example, how can you target a future applicant or a donor or a volunteer all on the same page? That's a big question because there are software out there just targeting donors and nonprofits. So some of them, gosh, well, here's an example of segmenting. You have people who donate, you have people who want to volunteer, right? So you can have different email lists and have them sign up for those. You can have them contact you on a form, and the forms are different and go to different people who head those departments, and then they bring them in that way. So there's definitely ways that you can do it. But I would just say separate pages, separate call to actions, and then, adding them to the corresponding list. Okay, answer that one, done. Okay, so going back to the fun stuff, and the industry standard is really important. I love trying to do different stuff because I think, well, it's funny. I like originality, but creativity is kind of low on my list because I'm thinking it's already been done before. Something that you think right now has already been done before somewhere, and that sounds really depressing, but what do people expect? Because people, especially if it's something like, okay, hear me out. Some of you had some very fun industries. I believe someone said something about, let me see here. Clinical research data quality. Darlene, I'm going to be real with you. That doesn't sound super exciting. That's, people, sometimes products sell themselves. You have, people who sell shoes, and when they make an ad and they have a website, people can buy that right there, right? Because, it's like $5, you buy a pair of shoes, you did it. But some of these industries, people research you for a long time. And, but when they make a decision, they want it to be easy. They don't want to have to think about it. So you just have to know your industry and what people expect, and what that buying process looks like. That's pretty important. And then once your website is done, it's never really done. It's always a journey. So what's your ongoing content strategy? Are you going to consistently update your website? I think blog articles can really help liven it up, or updating your clients, things like that. But updating your content is important to SEO and your recurring visitors. Maybe you have a list of events on your website. Just think about how you can really get that going. So when you're writing a service page, there is a formula that goes along with that. And that's your promise, the problem, the solution, outcomes, the social proof, and the call to action. Now, the call to action can really be, and again, these can be in any order, depending on, and sometimes they can be in multiple places. So sometimes you have a call to action at the top for those people who want to get started right away. They don't want to read anything. The people who are more thoughtful and are really researching it before they decide they want to work with you. So again, it's a strategy for all sorts of different types of people. So this is the content writing process. And here are other content ideas that you might want to put on your website to help people with their experience. Search boxes. So if you have lots of, let's say, white papers, for example, Darlene, having a search box and being able to search for articles with those key phrases is going to be important. Again, blog articles, booking links. If you're a spa, having someone book right then and there is going to be a huge leap for conversions, as opposed to, let's say, they call you, they get your voicemail, you got to call them back. Maybe you lose a lead because they called someone else right away. So being able to book right then when they want is big for getting more clients. Mail list signups. Again, people are like, oh, do I want to be on another mailing list? But if you tell them what your mailing list is about and why they should care, they will. So get rid of things that just say, mail us, sign up for this. Be cute with it, have a personality, give it a name. And it's interesting because as we're thinking of our content strategy for our website and even social media, sometimes they're not all the same. So what you're posting on social, what you're putting on your email marketing, and what you're putting on your website might be different. And the email newsletter might be segmenting a certain part of your marketing. Or certain, maybe the mail list is just for clients, for example, and keeping in touch with them. So it's, again, think about that one purpose that you want to achieve, and sometimes you can achieve it in more than one way, but all your content doesn't have to be all the time for everyone. Just keep that in mind. Pop-up boxes are really good if you have something new and exciting happening you want people to know. For example, let's say you're up for an award and people need to vote for you. You might have a pop-up that says, hey, we need your help, we need your votes. Videos is great content, and that keeps people on your page much longer. Presentations and downloads, people love freebies, they go crazy for it. But just remember to capture their name and email first, so that way they come into the system and you can reach out to them when you have others to download too. Galleries like photos, online courses, there's all sorts of cool stuff that you can put on your website. Especially if you're using WordPress, there's like plugins that make all this happen. But you can add your client list as social proof, and of course testimonials. I mean, the more testimonials you have, the better, because that just shows people that you really are real, and these are real people. And as you go through this, you're going to even start thinking about certain strategies, like maybe in my testimonial I won't just put Bob R. Maybe I'll put their whole name and the company and the position they work with, so that my visitors know that's a real person in Delaware or beyond, in Pennsylvania, Maryland, wherever. So there's so much content you can put on your website. You don't have to follow just content call to action. You can really make it dynamic and cool. So this is something I have to remember. But different personalities need different things before they're ready to buy. And call to actions can be peppered throughout the whole website. But it's always that one thing you want them to do. Some people, again, won't even read a thing on your website. You might have your prices online, but they didn't read it. They just want you to tell them on the phone what your pricings are. And you just have to kind of cater to that. Or you take your phone number off the website and force only the clients you want to come through. So you can make a conscious decision, say, you know what, I'm going to lose people if I don't do this, but I'm okay with that. But just, having the knowledge is power, as they say. I just want to put that logo. Knowledge is power. The more you know. Cool. All right. So yes, I have another worksheet for you. It is map out your pages and purpose. So this is a guide that will show you how to build a website, basically. So here we have our sitemap. You have your homepage, whatever, your landing page, and then services, about, contact, any other top level pages. And you can be a little creative, like your home button doesn't have to be the first button either. Because once they're home, they tend not to come back to that. They go to someplace else. So with each page, we ask you the same question. What's your primary call to action? What's your value proposition? What is that one thing that makes you special? What do you want people to know? What do you want someone to know before they leave? What's that one thing? So in this worksheet, we list out a bunch of ways that you can display your services, your testimonials, secondary call to actions, again. So for example, let's say I really want someone to buy a website, but maybe they're only in the branding stage. So I send them to our logo page, for example. And again, the services formula, which is the problem, the solution, outcomes, call to action. And don't neglect the about page. I know that we talk about ourselves a lot as a society. I'm getting a little philosophical here. And there's a lot of, keeping on the Joneses and, just constantly being plugged in and everyone living their best life on social media, right? But being authentic is so important. People want to know if you're having a bad day. They want to know that you're human, because companies are people, right? So if you don't have an about section, but someone else does, that might be what turns the tide. They want to know who they're working with. Plus, if they have things in common with you, you know, they're going to be drawn to you. So tell them about yourself. Tell them how you started the company, how it all began. You don't have to be long-winded with it, but put your picture on there. Put your face and your names and your position. Just do it. I know it's awkward writing about yourself. I wrote my bio recently and it felt awkward, but I did it. You can also send it to a friend or something to take a look at. And hey, if you want to write your bio and send it to me, please feel free. I'll take a look at it. No charge for you. But get comfortable with telling people who you are. And the reason for that is because back in the day, they used to say, and by back in the day, I mean like maybe 5 to 10 years, they used to say that you should talk mostly about other people and not yourself. But we're finding that on the most performing posts, the ones where they talk about their accomplishments and what's happening always get the highest engagement. And I think that's interesting. Something to think about. But people want to know about your team. Case studies. So let's say you're not in an industry like mine where you can just show someone a pretty picture and be like, hey, we did that. You know, maybe it's something where you worked with a company, maybe they've been around a long time, maybe they were in a pickle, and because of you, you were able to increase their technology, get them out of the pickle, and this is how their life improved. So those type of case studies are really important. No matter what industry you're in, you can always have a case study on how you help people. And getting that social proof, that testimonial to go along with it, you know, even pictures of them. And I would say have at least 3, because that feels like you've been in business for a while. 1, it's kind of like, okay, well, they just have 1. But 3, that sounds like an intentional number. Like perhaps you Christine, you distracted me and I want to read it, but I won't. Yeah, so just have a couple case studies. Ways of contact and response times and expectations. So are you going to reply within 24 hours? Let them know what that looks like, so they're not just waiting by the phone, you know. Contact forms, definitely have one, especially if you're working with millennials. And interesting thing that I'm kind of telling people now who are trying to work with millennials, have a chat feature in your website, because they are more inclined to text than they are to pick up the phone and call. So think about having a chat feature if you have someone on your staff that can kind of filter that thing. But yeah, people love to go to your website and just click contact chat and they're done, you know. They don't have to talk to anybody or wait for anybody. It's lovely. So this is a really great template, again, that we use for our own clients for content strategy. Please feel free to use it for your own website to get you going. And always remember that one purpose that you have for that. Okay. Yeah, we totally did that already. Cool, nailed it. Okay, moving on. All right, any questions so far before we go into my tips and tricks, which is my favorite part of the segment? Let's see. Okay. What are some free web design? Okay, what are some free website design templates that you recommend? For what platform, Darlene? For WordPress? Let me know what platform. Gotcha. Roxanne, yes, all this is going to be in the presentation that you're getting. And Garba, I know you're probably listening, but I'm going to go ahead and edit this just a little bit, and then I'll resend it to you so you can send them the final one.
Okay.
Because since I want to customize that a little bit for you guys. Cool. All right, Christina, I'm going to copy this and email you after. How does that sound? Okay. And Darlene, we do have a segment coming up, I'm pretty sure, about website builders. I might have just done one, but stay tuned. I'll let you know about those. Garb, I'm not sure if you have that info handy about what platforms to build your website on, but we got some stuff there, don't we? Okay, cool. So Garba will let you know about that class for sure. All right, so convert with tips and tricks. This is assuming you want your website to be a personal assistant. Do capture leads with freebies. Don't just give it away without asking for something. That's the old world. No. Just know who they are. And what I like to do is just capture like their first name and email. So that way, when I send them a message, I can at least be like, hey, Bob, and make it seem like a really personalized letter. Do think of obstacles that prevent conversions. So for example, not having a price on there, not having a free trial of your product, breaking industry standards. Perhaps you're a moving company without a quote form and you have to get around that hurdle. What other obstacles? Money is always the biggest one, right? How do you convert someone? And let's assume that you're in an industry where it all costs the same. That obstacle will be proving to them that you're the best. And that doesn't mean the best in the world. I'll give you, I have a pet peeve, guys. And that's when someone says on their website, we're the best. And I'm like, who said that? Who said you're the best? Can you even say that? Is that legal? No. So don't just say, even if someone said that to you, don't use it. You know, you want to be, you don't want to be the best. You want to be the best for the right fit. That's who you're targeting. You're not targeting everyone. You're targeting that one person who you know would be a great fit for you. So although I'm talking about writing a bunch of content, do keep it short and broken out in sections because it's just easier to read. Headlines are important too because it helps with the hierarchy of the SEO as well as just helping people skim the content. Avoid too little or too much text. Again, 300 words. And remember your audience. So if you're an IT company, don't say a bunch of IT jargon to them because it's going to go over their head. Talk to them like real people who need IT people, right? So think about your brand voice and what that looks like. Do link internally. That's great for SEO and it helps to navigate your website. So for example, let's say on your homepage, you want to list out the services that you offer, we'll link off to those services. If you want to show the events, link off to those events. What else is relevant on the content you're talking about? For example, I have a letter on my website that says, hey, Jenn Wells and then I link off to Jenn Wells. So definitely take those links and just keep them going on your website. They'll stay longer and they'll learn about you too. Keep web form short. That's a tongue twister. Do keep web form short. 2 to 3 fields. There was a study done, this is a while ago, where there was a 80% drop off from 3 fields to four fields. So ideally you want to stick to around 3, which is name, email, and the message. That's typically the best format to follow. For a sign up, for an email sign up, just 2. Most of the time, even 1. Which is the email address, obviously. Make your primary contact channel easy to find. Who here's been on support sites and you just want to call them and you can't find their phone number? Who here's had that experience? How frustrating is it, by the way? You just want to call them and yet you can't find their number. And do you want to know why that is? Because they don't want you to call them. They have a very specific yeah, exactly. They have a very specific path they want you to follow so that they can best service you. So sometimes you just have to suck it up and follow their system. But yes, so that's very intentional when they don't give you their phone number. However, if you're okay with taking calls, definitely have it. There's lots of people who still want to talk on the phone. I personally find it's challenging because I get a lot of offshore developers calling me for work. So I can't even really answer my phone anymore without getting kind of sold to. So yeah, so definitely have at least a phone number in an offline way, not offline, but a email or form way of contacting. Even that chat feature would be cool too. Kind of tempted to install that now that I've sold myself on it. Do think of obstacles that will prevent the conversions. So for example, let's talk about error tolerance for a minute, error tolerance. So let's say you have a quote form, it's 10 fields, right? And let's say if someone accidentally makes a typo on one and they hit send, let's say it clears out all their data and they have to refill it out again. That's error tolerance. And people would probably get so mad, they would just leave, right? So you want to make sure that when people make user errors, that they can still continue in a way that makes sense, right? So think of obstacles that could prevent conversions. Forms that are too long. Maybe you're asking for data right away that's hard to find. So let's say you're trying to book an appointment and you're like, yeah, I need your Delaware driver's license. They might not feel like going get in their wallet, taking a picture out. So you might ask for that later at the appointment. So think about the obstacles that could prevent that conversion. Do user testing. You'd be surprised at the little things you miss because you're too close. You know, your team's too close. Get a guinea pig, find a client, he'll do it for you, and just have them and give them a task to do. Say, hey, make an appointment and see what any issues they run into. Make sure that you develop for your audience's primary device. If you're a pizza shop, you're not going to want to use really big images on your website because mobile's going to have to download those and he wants to mess up their data plan. Right? That's an example of developing for your user. Don't use cheesy stock photos, please. There's even been times where I've typed in like normal looking people, mediocre looking people, non-cheesy stock photos, you know? And don't forget that diversity aspect. You want to pick people who represent your audience. So try not to be cheesy with your stock images. And again, don't upload your images at full size. It's just bad. It'll slow down your website. It'll reduce your SEO rankings, and people will just leave if your website isn't loading. There's other choices that they can have. And last but not least, do add social proof, have testimonials, add a client list or other endorsements. This is key. If you have Google reviews, link to them. People love to see that in real time. Okay. Let me take a quick peek at your questions. All right. Okay. See, because in Pennsylvania, sales tax is required. How do you find out if someone is a Pennsylvania customer who has to pay sales tax? Okay, so when they check out of your store and they add their address, that's based on they tax based on that address. So yeah. So then anyone who's getting it shipped in Pennsylvania would pay that tax. What size photos do you recommend? Gosh, for background, it really depends on, again, how your user's viewing it. And as a design company, I want my photos to look a little nicer for obvious reasons. But I would say for full banner widths, you know, anywhere between 1,800 and 2,000 pixels wide. Let me see. Wide, and other images like 960 pixels. Something like that for just like images that are next to text. Cool.
Quick one. Yeah,
Yes.
sorry. Quick one before we continue. I just want
Yeah.
to draw the attention of our attendees that I did post a 30-second survey about today's webinar. You know, remember, we at Temple SPDC, we always cherish your feedbacks, even as it helps us in providing the services to you guys at the no cost. So kindly take 30 seconds of your time to help us to fill out the survey link I just posted. I might just go ahead and post it for the second time for those of you that didn't see the first time.
Yeah. Thank you, Garba. Yes, please fill it out, guys. Say good things about me. Actually, I've never clicked on it and read it. I don't really know what it says, but I might. Okay, so here's some great copywriting tips. I found this article and I absolutely love it. Take a look at this. Taking out less words hits home a bit more, right? For example, Trello lets you work more, right? But just work collaboratively, get more done. I mean, that says a lot more with less words, right? Amazing. You don't want to exaggerate. Be honest. This, you know, it's roomier, but it might not fit that guy, right? No one cares what you do. They want to know what you can do for them. So instead of being like, hey, we're the world's first portable digital media player, 1,000 songs in your pocket, what you can do for them. Avoid the passive voice. It's a bit awkward and indirect. Here's some examples of that. A stupid person has to make sure it's kept simple, you know, keep it simple, stupid. So just be direct in your writing. You want to make sure that your brand feels real. So you can be informal, you can be funny, you know, The CEO of this company wrote that she's writing from her living room because she's working from home, you know, so she's being cute with it, including her dog, who that warms the heart, right? We also want to avoid landing page words: unlock, unleash, enhance, exceed, empower, supercharge. You know, all that sounds like, you know, it sounds too exaggerated, too hyped. It's probably not real. And find the tension. This is one I guess you have to make that judgment call on, but you know, business insurance made for you, life insurance you'll love, and insurance for the digital revolution. But they rewrote it as just saying, forget everything you know about insurance. So now you're like, okay, what's new? Is something new and revolutionary happening? You know, so now they're really drawn in there. Write how you talk. Be casual. Use you know, apostrophes. It's okay. And avoid contained titles. This is interesting. So you can make statements, but if you ask a question, they're going to assume there's an answer, so they're going to keep going for it. Just a clever way of writing. Scannable content, and very important, formatting matters. Make sure you have those headlines so people can really understand what it is you're writing about. Make your stories memorable. This is a nice little formula here. More periods, fewer commas. Short sentences people love to read. So instead of saying effortlessly create email lists, this is just a create email list from LinkedIn. This seems easier because it's shorter. Effortlessly isn't even really needed. And of course, video, very important. Yep, you sure will. Your first line. Yeah, copywriting is selling. So this is a really great article. You will get a copy of this. I just have to fix one thing, and I'll send that to Garba right after the phone call, and then you will have it. All right, we're just about done here. These are some resources and the links that you'll get a copy to, so you can hang out. There's some really great content writing tools. There's Grammar Checker, there's Readability Grader, there's an SEO assistant that helps you with your key phrases. There's also a new one I want to add that I just found out called WordTune. I'm going to link this one as well because I want you guys to have it. It rewrites your copy on the fly, and it's so good. So it really helps you get through those blocks. Gosh, does anyone else have any questions? Sorry, I know I really just kept on going there, didn't I?
I think I can see a question. I don't know if that's actually a question or a write-up on the Q&A.
Yes, I see that. 1 second here. I'm going to save this for you, Christine. Christine, can you paste in your email address so I can send you my recommendations on your bio? You can just send that to me in a Q&A, please. Because then I will send this to you after the call today. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Like everything has free versions, Regina, but then, you know, then there's always like the pro version, which does all the cool stuff. Sarah, yes, SEO is a big one. Content is always king on that. And by that, it means that Google wants to pair your website with people who are looking for that information. So if you want to be found for a certain key phrase, then you want to make sure that key phrase is prominently in your content. That's the biggest tip I can give you. And Roxanne, yes, you will be getting a copy of this. Okay, thank you, Christine. I have it. Any more questions? Did I miss anyone?
No.
Okay.
Now,
All right. Well, that's a wrap, I think, guys. Oh, nope, I got one. Don't go anywhere, Garba. Don't you hang up that dial. Okay. Oh, I have another bio. Great. Meet the artist section. Can you please paste in your email as well? And guys, let me paste in my email address into the chat. You can send me your bio and I'll take a look at it. But Rumi, if you could send in your email, I will take a look at that. Oh, still you. Okay, got it. Oh, I'm with you. Okay, cool. All right, guys, email me with anything else, but I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for supporting the SBDC of PA and of course, Temple University and me. I'll see you probably next week.
Yeah, before we wrap it up, just want to use this opportunity to thank each and every one of you guys for keeping it a day with us. Then thank you for a wonderful presentation. Thank you, everyone, and do enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.